All right, guys, we have another deck guide coming up, and it is going to be Heimer Control. I feel like it's definitely one of the underplayed decks right now. When, I don't know, man, this thing just seems way tier 1. Obviously, you know, aggro is very hard matchup, but as you're going to see here in game number 1, it is possible to win aggro matchups. Maybe sometimes a little bit of luck, but if you play the right way, you can generally win. And that's what I'm going to kind of go over, because I feel like a lot of people feel helpless against the aggro matchup with really just any kind of deck. Good old Burn, Championless, Noxus, Piltover, and Zon. So if you are new, my name is Justin, also known as Shit Just Works. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you are new, because there is a ton of Legends of Runeterra content on this channel, including, but not limited to, tournament gameplay. Definitely check back here for some tournament gameplay. Yesterday, it was actually a top 8 video posted of Duels of Runeterra number 9. Link will be in the description below to that video if you want to check it out. Without further ado, let's get into Heimer Control. All right, you guys are in for a treat with this Heimer Control deck. As I mentioned in my top 5 champs video, which link will also be in the description below, I do think Heimer is one of the best champions in the game, mainly because of his ridiculous card advantage that you can get and just flooding the field with turrets. So just a couple things. As always, the link will be below as well for the deck, as well as the deck code if you want to go ahead and import the deck. It's a pretty typical version of Heimer Control, so you can probably find it pretty much anywhere on the web. Also, I have this shirt that I got. I paused my game to be here, and I don't know, lately I've been getting a lot into getting a lot more like gaming video game shirts, and I know I've been having trouble finding ones that I actually do want to buy that are cool. I like Dragon Ball Z and Final Fantasy, but anyways, if you guys want this shirt, I happen to like it. There will be a link below in the description to go ahead and purchase this shirt if you do want. It does help me out if you do use the link. All right, so first up, the ultimate goal of the deck. So the ultimate goal of the deck is obviously get Heimerdinger out, protect the hell out of him, make sure he cannot be taken off the field, and then just explode with a massive amount of turrets against your opponent. Now, you can see Vi. Vi was not in this deck previously. It always used to be Heimer Karma, which I don't think was really as strong, which is why this deck never really flourished in the meta, right? Now you'd think, okay, Karma plays a bunch of extra spells. Obviously, that's better with Heimerdinger, right? Well, not really. Playing Karma with Heimer gives you this really awkward situation where your hand is like constantly at 10 cards, which is very difficult. Either you're getting extra spells and turrets with Heimer and Karma pre-10, or level 10, you start playing spells, getting way too many turrets because you're playing 2 spells at once. That's 2 turrets at once. Plus the spells might draw cards. So it's a huge cluster. Nobody wants that. So we have Vi. And what Vi critically does for this deck is it bridges the early game with the mid game with the late game. Okay, so turn 5, dropping a Vi feels really good against an aggro deck or against a mid-range deck. Even at 2 attack, you can usually very quickly in 1 or 2 turns get her up to 4 or 5 attack, which will then pretty much threaten everything on your opponent's board. Against a mid-range or Bannerman type deck, you want her at 5 attack, obviously, to challenge stuff like Swiftwing Lancer, Garen, 6 attack for Cythria. So that's kind of that crucial point there, is playing the 3 or 4 spells to get her to the 5 or 6 attack. But obviously, as you can see with this deck, that's usually not that hard. Beyond that, you get the typical kind of control setup. You get the 3 Thermo Beams, the 3 Mystic Shot, and the 3 Get Excited to basically say hell no to anything that your opponent summons. You do crucially have the Claws of the Dragon in this deck as well, which you're going to see here in the in the first game against this Burn aggro deck, how critical it is to really plan to get Claws of the Dragon out early. And this is one of those cards that does allow you to just really have a chance against these aggro burn decks. And then obviously you have all these 3-cost cards, 3-cost spells that can combo with Heimer to get those sweet, sweet, elusive 3-1 turrets to eventually kill your opponent. So without further ado, let's get into the game. All right, so first up, we have Burn Aggro versus our Heimer control deck. And I do want this matchup to be highlighted because I feel like so many people, and I might even do a separate video on this, feel super helpless against Burn Aggro matchups. And obviously even more so with control decks, as it's pretty much exactly what Burn counters. So first things first, we see a Boom Crew rookie come down, and one thing I want to note is that you should always be looking to Thermo Beam a Boom Crew rookie as fast as possible. Now, Thermo Beam right now feels pretty bad. Costs us 6 mana to do 6 damage. We want to potentially get it to 4, which is why we're thinking about the Mystic Shot. We decide to not go with the Mystic Shot and recall it, mainly because it didn't trigger its effect yet, and our opponent also has only 1 mana left to actually go ahead and play another unit. Now, what this also does is gives us 2 mana left to still kill something else. We decide to actually kill the Legion Saboteur here. Or sorry, we actually go with the 3/1, which you can argue either way. However, Claws of the Dragon coming down after playing that second spell is able to block, one or the other anyways. So either way, we're using Mystic on one and Claws of the Dragon on the other. And again, that's exactly what I was talking about on Claws of the Dragon. It is such a good card in situations like that where now we're going on to turn 5 and this Burn Aggro deck has only done 3 damage. That's really, really, really good for us. So Claws of the Dragon, just make sure you're managing your spells well early in the game. Managing your mana well. You can see that we played that Thermo Beam after that for only 4 mana exactly to kill that Boom Crew rookie that we knew was coming back down. So doesn't seem like it's a smart decision to go ahead and play Will of Ionia on a 2-drop, but I promise you, in the aggro matchup, you gotta do what you gotta do a lot of the time. So we go into now turn 6, and now our opponent's kind of getting some damage rocking and rolling here. We do have the Spirit's Refuge, so what we have to do now is really try to play around this Spirit's Refuge to ensure that we are getting it to go off on something with a pretty high attack. I mean, right now, we really only have the Claws of the Dragon. So what we want to draw into is hopefully a Vi. Vi is almost always what you want to be using Spirit's Refuge on pretty much in any matchup, right? It doesn't matter. I mean, even if, and you're going to see, later on too, when we go through this second game as well, that Ladros is another key matchup, Corinna control, that you're going to want to really save that Spirit's Refuge for a crucial moment that's going to swing the game in your favor. Now, we get the Ritual of Renewal. All right, listen. Flash of Brilliance is a card, okay? Ritual of Renewal was definitely one of the best possible cards that we could get in this matchup, in this situation. Especially considering he does have Decimate, and in the next couple of turns, you're going to see he has 2 Mystic Shots. So that would have been game if we didn't heal 7. Now, we did have the Spirit's Refuge. So if we didn't luckily get the Ritual of Renewal, we would have just had to use the Spirit's Refuge on either the Claws of the Dragon there to gain 3 more health, or this Vi right now, which either way, this Vi really probably only would have gotten us 3. We probably... Honestly, if we were in the situation where we didn't get the Ritual of Renewal, we probably would have Mystic Shotted face and then Spirit's Refuge just to get the additional attack on the Vi to get the additional lifesteal. So those are some situations that you really got to think about sometimes too, is, okay, should I just exhaust spells in my hand for the sake of the lifesteal? And almost always the answer is yes. And this is where I feel like a lot of people make mistakes against Burn Aggro. You really have to switch your train of thought. I know control decks, you kind of get worried if you exhaust all of your options in your hand. But in the Burn Aggro matchup, you need to focus on simply living. That's it. So we do win that matchup. And now we're going into Corinna control. So this is another common matchup, which is why I picked both of these. These are both 2 very common decks that you're going to face on ladder with Heimer control. And you got to know how to play against them. So with Corinna, you're going to need to prepare for the late game. It's going to be pretty hard for you to really rush down Corinna before they're able to have a response. The idea, if you are trying to play aggressive versus Corinna, is that you're quickly getting a Vi or a Heimer, hopefully a Heimer that you can protect, and you're getting protection for the Heimer, as well as the 3-cost spells to quickly get the elusives on the board. The problem is, unless the Heimer is leveled, Withering Wail wrecks the elusive units, which is really hard for this deck to kind of circumvent. So Vi then becomes another viable. I can't tell you how many times I've used that pun. I can't even. All right. Anyways, you do want to be trying to get Vi on the field. Is basically what I'm getting at, because protecting a Heimer and just going with the elusive strategy is usually going to be pretty difficult. So, how do we win with Vi? We actually do win by leveling up Vi. And that's going to be the interesting part here, right? So now you have to worry about things like Ruination and Vengeance. And that's what you have Deny for. And it is possible to play around Ruination most of the game. You can also bait out a Ruination by playing a lot of turrets. You know, sometimes you can flood the board with so many turrets, even after a Withering Wail, that your opponent is just forced to play a Ruination at this point, right? Now, another thing to note is what we were talking about earlier. We do have the Spirit's Refuge in our hand, as well as the Bugged Vi, which I can't... God, there's so many bugs with Vi. I can't wait. Actually, you're going to see another one in a little bit here. So sit tight. You're going to see, or actually, it's not technically a bug, but it's a bug if she's not leveled, and I'll explain it in a little bit. So with the Spirit's Refuge is going to be something that late in the game is going to get you around something like an Atrocity or a Ladros towards the end of the game. It's going to allow you to heal up a little bit. And if you are able to get your opponent down to, you know, under 10 health or something like that early on here, these Get Exciteds are going to be coming in huge handy as well. I don't even think I said that right. What I'm getting at is these burn spells, Get Excited and Mystic Shot, those are probably going to be finishing the game for you. The problem is, again, you will have to play around Withering Wail as well as Grasp of the Undying as far as your opponent being able to heal their Nexus when you do try to go for a victory. And that's, again, going to be the hard part. They do, honestly, like, as you can see as I'm explaining this, they have a lot of counters to basically every way that you try to win the game. Whether it's burning them down towards the end and bursting them with Mystic Shot and Get Excited, or you're sitting there trying to just hammer away with 3-1 elusive units. It's not always going to be easy for you to actually get one of your win conditions off. So you can see here we do have a Vi on the field. Something about Claws of the Dragon, right? And you can see that I'm hovering it. Okay, I do end up playing it. All right, it feels bad to play Claws of the Dragon without getting the effect off. Then I get it. It's just a 3-2. But you got to think, okay, if I'm going to end up burning mana this turn anyways, you might as well just play the 2 mana and get it on the field now. A 3-2 on the field now is probably worth more than a 3-2 on the field later, depending on the situation. In this case, we do need a blocker to really avoid taking way too much damage and to live here. And you can see the Spirit's Refuge is exactly what we use to make sure that we stay in the game at a pretty high healthy total of Nexus health. And that puts us out of range of something like a Corinna, bringing us down to, 1, 2, 3, or 4 health, which then puts us in range for their burn, like Mystic Shots. Fortunately, they are not playing, or Corinna Control generally does not play Get Exciteds anymore, which is definitely a big deal. Now, I want everybody to pay really close attention to how this end of the game plays out. Every move that is happening now, it matters a lot, right? Because there's certain things that we need to take into consideration. So first off, there was Vi. We decided to go ahead and recall the Vi with the Solitary Monk because it heals it, okay? That putting Vi at 6 health now means that they have to have Vengeance or Ruination to get rid of the Vi, again, which is big. And now I have another blocker if they don't have that. So with the open attack, it doesn't seem like they do have it, which means I can use the Vi, to block. That's the B word I'm looking for, to block one of the fearsome units. And then I can obviously use the 4/3 to block another fearsome unit. Now, this Will of Ionia is difficult, to say the least. Wanting to return a Ladros feels bad. However, Atrocity is what you also need to be playing around here. And by willing the Ladros, I drew out and baited the Atrocity. Now I have to get excited to kill the Ladros, which is still going to send it back to hand, but I very much win that whole trade-off there because I'm saving 9 health, and I am basically denying the Atrocity with my Will of Ionia, which is very, very big. Now, Dusk and Dawn. This is a card. This is a card that now feels far less bad getting it off of Flash of Brilliance thanks to Vi. We have a leveled Vi. Dusk and Dawning a leveled Vi feels amazing, okay? Now, I will say, this Dusk and Dawn probably won us the game here. Here's the bug I was talking about. Right now, it did summon multiple copies of the 10 attack Vi, but if it's a non-leveled Vi, it actually bugs out and the visual does not display the 10 attack or whatever attack the non-leveled Vi is at. Let's say it's at 8 or something like that. So just something to keep in mind. I think the damage still goes through. Like, it just visually shows 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9. It doesn't show, you know, or sorry, it visually shows 2. It doesn't show the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So just keep that in mind when you're playing Dusk and Dawn on a non-leveled Vi, which obviously happens all the time, right? So now, with my opponent at the mana total that they're at, I can kind of go in, which is why I decided to will the Ladros. I know that by willing the Ladros, they don't have the mana to actually play the Ladros again. They do decide to glimpse a Spider, which definitely hurts because now I am not getting the Vi effect off of dealing the 5 damage to the Nexus, which would have actually been game here. I do decide to save my Vi and keep one of them on the field so that it does the 5 damage to the Nexus. The other one goes ahead and hits directly. Now they're at 1, and I have Get Excited and Mystic Shot in my hand. So this is what I was talking about earlier in the game, where you might want to save some burn for late. Even if my opponent has double heal, there's a good chance that I will be able to burn them down anyways. I play the Mystic, and that is going to be game pretty much no matter what heal they have. So very interesting matchup. Very hard for sure, but definitely a winnable game. All right, guys, that is the Heimer control deck. I know we got a little sidetracked there talking about some bugs with Vi, but it matters, okay? They'll hopefully hotfix it in one of the patches coming up. I think the next patch comes out next week. Can't wait, by the way. But again, as always, if you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. If you liked the video, hit that damn like button. And again, if you are looking for some cool shirts like this, go ahead, click the link below in the description to pick up a sweet I paused my game for this. Or actually, what does it say again? It doesn't even say for this. To be here. God, I don't even know what my shirt says. To be here. I tend to wear it for meetings at work a lot, or at least I'm going to soon. So, anyways, everybody, as always, stay healthy, stay positive. I hope shit just works for you, and peace out.